Allow me to show you the world of Transcendence. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I just got back from seeing the film Transcendence. So the story of Transcendence follows Will and Evelyn Castor, a science couple who are trying to use technology and science to better the world through a process they call Transcendence. But a terrorist group called Rift does not like the concept of Transcendence, and through a well-executed and synchronized plan, they knock out all these technology centers that are working on this concept and also pull an assassination attempt on Will Castor himself. The assassination attempt worked, as Will Castor only has a few weeks to live. But his wife comes up with a brilliant idea of uploading his conscience into these 6 core processors that they took from an AI that they created called PIN. So first they upload his consciousness into the processors, but he needs more power to function well. So they upload his consciousness that's in the processor into the World Wide Web, the internet, where he can be anywhere and everywhere. And from there, Will's consciousness and his wife begin the process of creating a better world, and thus the battle between technology and humanity begins. Now I was very interested in seeing this film for many reasons. First off, I just really like the concept of man versus technology and whether or not technology is for our benefit or for our demise. Secondly, this is the directorial debut for Wally Pfister, who was the director of photography for many of Christopher Nolan's films. And also, Christopher Nolan signed on as an executive producer for this film, so that was pretty interesting. And lastly, it has a very interesting and dynamic cast. I mean, you got Johnny Depp, Rebecca Hall, Morgan Freeman, Cillian Murphy, and Paul Bettany, just to name a few. Though I'm surprised he didn't ask Christian Bale, Gary Oldman, or Michael Caine if they wanted to be in the movie. I mean, what, were they too busy? And so I finally saw the movie, and what do I think about it? I'm not gonna lie, at first I didn't really like it, I didn't really dig it, but as the story progressed more and more, I started to really get invested into it, and I just ended up really liking the movie. It gave me the same feeling as when I saw Noah. At first I really didn't like it, but the film just got gradually better as it continued. That is the case with Transcendence. So what did I like about the movie? Well, first off, the cinematography looked beautiful. It was really good, which really makes sense since the guy who's directing the film was also a cinematographer, so of course the shots would look good. I mean, if the cinematography in a film that's directed by a guy who worked primarily in cinematography doesn't look good, we have a problem. As much as the story isn't anything new, I did like how well it was executed. And I just really love the issue and dilemma that this movie tackles on whether or not technology is beneficial to humans or will lead to our eventual demise and extinction. And it's not black and white like how it is in Terminator. It's a very gray area throughout the entire film. I mean, you could make the argument that a majority of the film felt very anti-technology since most of the characters were on the anti-technology side. But at the same time, they also show you the pro-technology side and where they're coming from. It's very open-minded and it's very balanced in its presentation. And I liked how the film never really chose a side. It never said like this one is good and this one is bad, or this one is good and that one is bad. Really well done there. The second half of the movie was excellent. Everything about the second half I really enjoyed. The acting got better, the cinematography was still good, there were more action scenes, much more was going on, and then you had that whole dilemma that I brought up earlier. The second half was amazing. I liked it. And I really liked the ending. It was emotional, it was touching, it ended on a really good note to where there is still hope for the future. And the last thing that I kinda like, it kinda seesaws back and forth whether or not I liked it or I didn't, was the acting. I thought all the actors did a pretty good job in what they were presented. The only standout performance in the entire movie was Rebecca Hall. It had the most emotion, it had the most attention, and I think that's why it really stood out, because she was given more than any other character, so there's that. And I guess this is a good point as any to talk about the things that I didn't like about the film. Going off of what I said about the acting, as much as I did think that the actors did a pretty good job in what they were presented, I still felt that majority of the performances were very wooden. But honestly, it's none of the actors' fault. All of these actors have given great and dynamic performances before. I think the fault falls under either the script or the first-time director telling them how to act in a certain scene. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you got Johnny Depp, a man who's known for his zany, eccentric, and charismatic characters, yet he comes off as very stoic and calm and not that interesting. Now, that's not to say that I think Johnny Depp is a bad actor. Hell, I love the guy. I just felt personally that he was miscast in this role because he wasn't really given anything to work with or anything to make him stand out. And that goes with all the other actors as well. Morgan Freeman, I don't really remember him. I don't remember a single thing he said in this movie. All I remember is that he did do a narration scene in the movie, and I was just saying, haha, they gave Morgan Freeman a narration scene because it's freaking Morgan Freeman. Cillian Murphy, the same thing. Paul Bettany, the same thing. Kate Mara, the same thing. Their characters were not given anything to make them really stand out. The first half of this movie, in my opinion, is probably the weakest element of the entire film. I mean, it had the worst pacing, lack of focus on any of the characters, which made them wooden and bland. You really didn't care about them. The story was unengaging. It didn't really pull you in from the get-go. It just was a really bad start. Now, what did I mean by a lack of focus? Well, I felt like the film didn't take its time to breathe and let the characters get more fleshed out and developed. They literally would spend about 30 seconds to a full minute on characters and dialogue scenes between characters, thus not giving a lot of time for development to get to understand the characters or even to build chemistry or to get an understanding of what their relationships were. Now, I'm not asking for like 5 minutes on each character with each of them going into a monologue about who they are, what they like, what's their favorite place to eat. No, that's not what I'm asking for. What I'm asking for is that they actually take the time, have the characters really connect and discuss, and from there, they can build development through their conversation. Thus, we get insight to what the character is like and why we should root for them. And the last problem that I have with this film was that there were way too many plot holes, and many of them were big plot holes. To give an example, there's a scene where Evelyn obtains a huge amount of money. And yes, Will Castor can manipulate the system so that she can get this huge amount of money. But don't you think that would have like raised the red flag somewhere like, hey, wait a minute, how did this girl get all this money? Maybe we should investigate? But that's just a small one. There comes a point where she takes all this money that Will has now given her and she builds a huge ass facility out in the middle of the desert, and it does not raise a single red flag. I mean, you're telling me only the terrorist group cares that this big facility exists? Where the hell is the US government? Where's the FBI? Where's the CIA? Where is the IRS? Really? You can't tax the shit out of this girl? It baffles me that nobody was aware of this at all, especially our government. But besides the few problems that I had with this film, I still really enjoyed watching Transcendence. I really liked the concept of the film. The story was very interesting. I liked the dilemma between whether or not technology is beneficial or disastrous for the human race. The acting was pretty good for what it needed to be, and the cinematography was just gorgeous. And I would like to see more from Wally Pfister, being that this is his first film. It wasn't a bad first film. I'm interested to see more from this guy. And overall, I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a really enjoyable film. But anyway, what did you guys think about this film? Did you like it a lot, or did you find it really boring and dull and you really didn't care? And instead of asking what's your favorite Johnny Depp film, I'm instead going to ask you whether or not you think technology is beneficial to mankind or will lead to mankind's demise. Be sure to comment below and let me know. Also, check out my top 5 personal favorite Johnny Depp performances on We Live Film. Link will be at the end of this video. I hope to do a few movie reviews this weekend for you guys. I'm not going to see A Haunted House 2. Why? For 2 reasons. First, I didn't see the first movie, and second, it doesn't look funny. So, not gonna waste my time with it. And I will have an anime review out for you guys next Tuesday, so stay tuned for that. And until then, guys, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. Welcome to the Black Critic Guy. Like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Wilder II, the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.